Welcome to Quantum Touch Radio, supercharging your life with Jennifer Noel Taylor. Jennifer and Dr. Pat take you on a quantum journey to discover how to supercharge your life, working with universal healing quantum touch principles. Imagine knowing how to accelerate, revitalize, and engage in ways you've never experienced. In this hit show, we reveal powerful, simple steps to create more abundance, better health, emotional and mental vibrancy, and happier relationships. Imagine being simple and supercharged to cultivate life force energy for yourself and others. Get ready to be astounded. Now, here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I am so thrilled all of you are tuning us in and turning us on. I am Dr. Pat. I am also here with Jennifer Noel Taylor. And guess what? I wake up, Jennifer, every day and I think about and I look at what I do in that day. And sometimes, especially on days like today, my life seems pretty surreal. The fact that I am sitting here getting ready to have a conversation with you and our very special guest, Richard Gordon, it just is not logical. And what I mean by that is, if you go back and you look at your life and your history, there's no evidence in there that someone like me would be talking with you and Richard, and that this show would be popping out over to multiple channels on AM in Seattle. And we're going to be talking about quantum touch and energy healing. Now, that may not be surreal to you, but welcome to today. And we're going to introduce Richard, aren't we?
Yes, yeah. So I'm really happy to introduce Richard on the show today. I met Richard over, 15 years ago. I was studying massage and bodywork at the Maui Academy of Healing Arts, and I really got into energy medicine. And I met Richard, who was giving a lecture on energy medicine, and the universe said, "Oh, by the way, you're supposed to be running his company."
Is that exactly the way that, I asked the question because, I dialed the wrong phone number and didn't hang up in 03, and that's really why we're talking. But the universe is that direct, isn't it?
I think the universe is very direct, and what we do with that information gets really interesting and exciting. I think we're the ones who can doubt the directness of the universe. But yeah, when I got that download of information, I had to ask the universe, so am I now supposed to go up to Richard, a complete stranger, and say, "By the way, I'm supposed to run your company"? I don't know, Richard. I don't know if that would have gone down okay.
Probably would have, because I didn't want to run it.
Oh, no. But, isn't it interesting how sometimes the things we don't want to do lead us to the things we do? Because I started to act like a crazy person in my corporate career after, being the head of HR and all that business. And all of a sudden I didn't want to do it. So I acted like super rebellious. Does the universe sometimes work like that to connect pairings up of people so that something greater than each of them individually might be created?
I believe that your feelings and your emotions about what's going on in your life are really big clues into perhaps your next step. So for example, like you, I had a corporate job I didn't like anymore. I got rebellious. I started violating the dress code. I didn't like it. I was depressed. And I think the depression really helped fuel my next adventure with Richard, because at that point I was so depressed. My attitude was, well, I have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Richard, I want to know if your rebellious nature perhaps got you to, step into becoming the founder of Quantum Touch.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Absolutely. Because I was bored through much of high school. And then in college, I rebelled against the war in Vietnam. And I majored in what I called draft evasion. I managed to get 5 years of student deferments when they were only giving out 4. And I decided that I wasn't interested in any of the majors that they were offering, so I decided to work on myself and to take classes that I thought would be really interesting or valuable to me. I mean, things like children's literature and history of broadcasting. I became the staff photographer at the Los Angeles Free Press in 1967. And my third major was as a photography major. Before that, I was an art major. Before that, economics and English. And I just kept switching my majors around until I found something that felt fun and interesting. But the rebellious nature was that I wasn't ever willing to take an accepted answer and let that be the final answer. So when I learned about polarity therapy and wrote a best-selling book on the subject, by the time the book came out, I wasn't believing the theoretical foundation of it anymore. And I was switching over. And then I met this extraordinary man doing amazing hands-on healing work. I apprenticed with him. And then I radically shifted all of his work to take out all the woo factor, to just get to the essence of what and why it was working, and then made it super available to people so ordinary people could learn it almost immediately and be very successful. So everything about it has been rebellious, and the continuous shifting of understanding and the evolution of discoveries have taken me so far outside the box now that it's hard for me to find a box anymore.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I want to ask you too, because, here you are, right? You're the chief magical officer of Quantum Touch, right? You're also someone that is the host of Quantum Touch Radio here, and it is about supercharging your life. And, as we are having this conversation today, and we look at the connection you both had, how this happened, and what it means for us to then become passionate, or let's say, in your case, Jennifer, fall in love with the vision of Quantum Touch. So I want to ask you, and then let's talk about this as we move forward. What does it feel like to fall in love with Quantum Touch as your vision and your purpose for your life, and also a way to empower others to do the same?
So I believe that we all come here with a mission, a spiritual mission. So we're spiritual beings in a human body, and we have a purpose. And I believe that purpose is really written into our heart. Like it's just, we have this sense of what we're supposed to do. And when we find something that matches our purpose, we get this sense of joy and elation, and yes, that's what I'm supposed to do. And when I met Richard at his lecture on Maui, I got that sense of, yes, I'm in love. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I came here. This is what I came to the planet to do. And it just was a huge resounding knowing that I was on the right track finally. And that's when I believe we're meeting our mission. Our heart lights up, our soul lights up. We have energy. We feel like we're on track.
Yeah, I want to ask you both about this, and I want to talk about energy for a minute, because today we can talk about it openly, and people have a sense of it. Athletes use the term. I had a sense of what energy was, but I didn't know it. When I'm sitting next to somebody at the Port Authority in New York, and I'm homeless, and that's what I was doing, by the way, in 1967. And I'm sitting there, and the person a couple of feet down from me, because you don't sit right together, is crying and complaining, and she's homeless. She doesn't have the money, and she's not getting any money. And I'm over here, and I've got 2 different baseball caps because I don't want to offend any of the New Yorkers. And I'm a different version of that. I'm just me. I'm like, you know what? I'm starving. I need to get something to eat. A hot dog costs this costs this. And if you gave me $2, I could get a room at the Y. What do you say? And I look back on that, and I can see a different energy. What is it going to take for us to really understand the power of getting up close and personal with energy and energy healing? What will it take for our society to do that? Richard?
Me?
Mhm.
Well,
What do you think, Jennifer,
I thought
right?
Jennifer was going to take that one, but that's fine.
No, I was
Okay,
watching
I
Jennifer's
think that
face.
what we're dealing with is a fundamental paradigm shift of reality. And what I've seen very clearly is that the vast majority of, quote, authorities, scientists, and reality makers of the culture is that they are on a completely different track at the moment. They're believing that everything can be measured or put into a formula, that everything has a physical explanation, and they don't see us as spiritual beings whatsoever. And quantum touch is kind of like that ideal bridge between the physical and the metaphysical, the spiritual. And based on a conference I recently attended where the scientists managed to ignore me, shun me, not publish my syllabus, not meet with me, and not observe something that was visible right before their very eyes, but they didn't want to see it, kind of like priests not wanting to look through Galileo's telescope. The shift is going to be a very gradual one, and it may be sudden as well, because something may happen that causes a mass awakening. But right now, it's extremely slow, to my point of view, because people like Dean Radin are doing research that clearly show that the mind is not confined to the brain. But outside of the alternative thinkers, his work is completely ignored. And even though he's been published dozens and dozens of times in reputable journals, and has even done a new version of the double slit experiment, which is the most famous modern physics quantum experiment, and he's done it many times, showing that the mind affects the outer world, it's still ignored. I think he should be up for a Nobel Prize research. But what does it take for a shift of consciousness to occur? I don't know. It's a fascinating question, because what did it take hundreds of years after Galileo before the church forgave him for his heresy of saying the earth goes around the sun? So whether it happens in my lifetime or any of our lifetimes is an open question right now, and it's undecided. But I'm hoping for a mass awakening of consciousness. And that's what I guess the thrust of my work has been about, even though it looks like it's empowering people to have extraordinary abilities to accelerate the healing process or to find emotional causation and heal the emotional wounds. It's to be able to demonstrate that our consciousness has an impact on the outer reality in tangible, visible terms in seconds. But it's such a big shift for most people, it doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, I would like to ask Jennifer that question. And we actually have callers waiting to chat with you all here. For those of you out there, I'm sure you want to call in. I haven't even given out the number, but you must have seen our post. Also on Facebook, we are taking your questions there at Transformation Talk Radio. When we come back, I can't wait to hear what Jennifer says to that question. That and much more, everybody. We will be right back. Yeah, everybody, welcome back. So great to have all of you tuning us in and turning us on. Jennifer, before we go to the phones and, bring folks on, I'd love for you to share how people can find out more about what we're talking about here today, about you, and about quantum touch. What's the best way? Where should we send folks?
So the best way to reach us is to go to www.quantumtouch.com. And we're actually offering a free gift. If you sign up for our mailing list on the website, you'll get the first 35 pages of Richard's book, Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal, as well as some other handy-dandy energy tips. So I hope you get a chance to check us out at www.quantumtouch.com.
Awesome. Listen, Richard, what
Yes.
can we tell folks about you?
Oh, well, I've written 4 best-selling books that are in 17 languages. We've got certified practitioners of quantum touch that Jennifer oversees that are working in over 50 countries around the world. We have solutions to help people facilitate the reduction of pain, inflammation, to accelerate the healing process. The primary thing people use quantum touch for is pain relief, but it seems to do much more than that. A study we're looking at doing relatively soon would be one on traumatic brain injury, only because we've seen such remarkable stories, anecdotes coming in about the firefighter who was hit by a car and thrown 70 feet, or the infant that I met a few years ago in China who had suffered such deep brain damage the doctor thought she would die. Now she's like 4 years old and happy and totally together with a functional life. We have many solutions, but I think the main thing people want to know is you don't have to want to become a practitioner, but for 6 or 8 days of the year, it's the most valuable skill that you can have. Because when somebody you love is suffering, or like I had some gum surgery yesterday, within a few hours, I was able to completely eliminate the pain. They wanted to prescribe painkillers. The inflammation's down. I'm feeling 90% normal now when they thought it was going to be days before I'd feel okay. We can do things on ourselves and affect other people in such profound ways that it violates many fundamental assumptions about what's possible.
Wow, thank you. Well, listen, we've got somebody who wants to talk to y'all.
Okay.
So, Mr. Benny, let's go to the phones.
And we'll take Miranda calling in from California. Miranda, welcome to the show.
Hi, Miranda.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call, Dr. Pat.
You're welcome.
I'm just so fascinated by energy healing, and I really resonated with what Jennifer was speaking about like knowing you're on the right path. And I know I know energy work is definitely a part of my life path. So I'm really excited about this. And I heard you say just now that quantum touch is really good for pain relief. I'm just wondering, Richard, if or whoever, if it can work on the DNA level too. Like, what do you have to say about that?
You see, we call it quantum touch because we believe that the energy doesn't work on a cellular level, it works on a subatomic level. And it works through all the different levels, including the DNA. And the DNA has been shown through much research to have the ability to heal itself. As remarkable as that seems, the body and spiritual intelligence is so far beyond anything that we can imagine. So I don't know the limits of what's possible. We had one child who was born with severe, fetal alcohol syndrome with a prognosis of a 20 to 40 IQ. And that's because mom had had so much alcohol and amphetamines before birth that the child was born this way. And that really affects the DNA of the child. And that child grew up to have above average intelligence and fantastic social skills and to become the leader. And he was even able to see energy directly and see what color it was based on what chakra his mom was spinning. We have no clue what we are, what our capacities are, what's possible, and what we can become.
Really interesting. Yeah. No, I mean, I recently had some Reiki attunements, but I'm not satisfied. It didn't do what I thought it would do, and so I'm really currently right now exploring different energy healing modalities. And
the Reiki is using passive energy. In other words, you wait for the energy to come in and using your magical symbols or magic attunements. We don't have any of that stuff. We don't have set hand positions. We bring it. And what we do is we use breathing and body awareness to raise our life force energy. That way, we never match the energy of the person who is receiving the session. We raise our energy up to let them come up to our vibration. So we see phenomenon like you can move bones back to alignment before lunch break on the first day of a workshop with just the energy. We see phenomenon, and we don't get tired or drained, because if a Reiki practitioner does not stay in their love and gratitude vibration, and they're just kind of like having a bad day, they can actually start to become drained and tired. But that never happens with quantum touch, even if you're depressed, because you can learn how to bring it. You raise your vibration with these sweeping exercises where you're moving awareness through your body in different patterns, vortexing or directly, and you're linking it with breathing techniques. So the whole time you're working, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then we use a very complicated technique called the where does it hurt technique, where you sandwich the part of the other person that's suffering, and you can feel the energy getting stronger and stronger in your hands. It's a very tactile sensation most people can feel. And you can feel when it starts moving and when it gets full and when it gets maxed out. And you know what's happening just based on the sensations in your hands.
Where can I learn more, or perhaps maybe get like a session? Because I've spent a lot of money on this Reiki training, and I just sort of
I understand. We have thousands of Reiki people who have been blown away by quantum touch. You can go to quantumtouch.com and get all the resources that you're looking for. We've had Reiki people call it Reiki on steroids or turbocharging Reiki and all kinds of names like this. But as I see it, Reiki is just using the ambient energy, and it's giving people permission to do what they already had before they took the class. Because if you're not actually raising your vibration, you're just using your ambient energy. And some people will be more successful than others if you're eating a great diet, if you have a lot of love and gratitude, if you're doing exercise. You already have a high life force energy. And if you don't, you might find that you're having mediocre results. But some people will get fabulous results with Reiki because they're holding a high energy all the time. And other people will actually feel tired or drained at the end of a session. But that never happens with this work.
So what's the best way for Miranda to sign up or look into what the classes are, Jennifer?
So Miranda, actually, this brings up a really interesting question. Because what I'm hearing is that you weren't seeing the results you were expecting, right? You were expecting a certain healing. Is that the case?
Well, I guess you hear stories when people get attunements that it's like life altering and they see visions or feel changes, and none of that happened with me. And I'm just feeling a little bit of a letdown. So that's why I'm exploring different energy healing modalities, because I definitely want to learn about this and practice it and heal clients down the road. But I'm just sort of I want to tread slowly because I've invested so much already. So I'm just trying to see what's out there without having to pay a fortune. Maybe sample it here or there, get a taste of it before I plunge in.
And so you were you would like to be able to see energy or see the world as energy and have more of ability. Is that what you were looking for, to be able to?
Yeah. I guess it would give me confidence in learning more if I felt like I got something out of it. To have perhaps I guess what I'm saying is maybe where could I go to get a session or some way for me to figure out whether this resonates with me and whether I want to learn more about it to help me in my path of healing others.
I think that's great. Yeah, it took me a long time to feel energy. I was a slow learner. It took me about a year before I even had a sense of what life force energy was, and I was spending hours trying to feel it. But a lot of people can feel it right away. It just depends on how open you are, or maybe for me, my logical mind tends to get in the way. But however, what I would probably recommend if you're interested and it resonates is to go take one of our level 1 workshops where you can be with other students and do practice sessions and feel energy and get to a point where perhaps you can even see the energy. A lot of our students can feel and see it after a workshop. Again, it took me a little longer, but that's me. And to find out about our workshops, when you go to quantumtouch.com, just click on the link at the top that says workshops. And then you can, or actually it says schedule, sorry. It says schedule. And then you can sort on level 1 and see if there's a workshop near you.
Awesome.
I think I did that a few days ago, and I saw a lot of level 2, but nothing for level 1, so I sort of just gave up. Perhaps I didn't look.
Well, is there a phone number that she could call, Jennifer?
She can call. Yeah, you're in the United States, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you can call our phone number, which is 888-424-0041, and extension 1, and talk to Denise, who's our main customer service advisor. She's really fantastic, and she could probably help you find more in your area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might help. Mm-hmm.
I think this is cool. I'm really interested to have you follow up and let us know what this journey is going to be like for you. I think you're going to be amazingly surprised. You're going to hear why in the next segment when we come back. We're going to take a short break, everyone. When we come back, Quantum Touch Radio. We are also here, Jennifer Noel Taylor, but also this is about supercharging your life. I love that. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Richard Gordon about what does that really mean? Like really, what does supercharging really mean? And that and much more. If you have a question, 1-800-930-2819, give us a shout. 1-800-930-2819. Yep, energy healing leading to supercharging your life. Everybody raise your hand if you want a whole lot of that. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Yeah, welcome back. And we are taking your calls. Yep, it's very juicy. 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. And of course, we are here with Jennifer Noel Taylor, but also visionary and founder of Quantum Touch organization, Richard Gordon. And this is a special guest. And, we were talking during the break, and I think probably, I don't know, Richard, should we let Jennifer off on answering that other question and talk about?
Of course.
Let's talk about what expectations mean, and why is it that sometimes we believe that we're not getting the results we are looking for. But I shared in my case that I couldn't pinpoint like the thing. But I can tell you that in the surgery I had on my knees, I was dancing the very next night. I was dancing at my friend's party, and people didn't believe I could walk. Now, did I say I'd like to dance? I didn't say that. That's not what I held for an intention. So can we talk about this and talk about whether or not there is a preparation, or let me just call it a formula for achieving the kind of results that people want to have?
Okay. Do you want? I'll chime in on this one.
Yay!
Okay. So I believe that, let's say we have pain somewhere, like knee pain, and we want to feel better. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of people come to energy medicine. And let's say that we've been to the doctor, we've tried all kinds of stuff, and the pain's still there. So at that point, people tend to become discouraged. They tend to go into this thought process of, well, nothing I will ever do will ever get rid of this pain. I've tried energy medicine, I've tried herbs, I've tried all this, and it's not going away. And what's going on? Is energy medicine ineffective? So sometimes we get a customer where they're just not seeing the results they want. And I've really thought about this a lot because sometimes in my own life, I'm not seeing the results I want in certain areas of my life. And so the question is, what's in the way? And I think that's a really important question to ask, is what's in the way? And what I've noticed is what's in the way is usually unprocessed or stuck emotions or beliefs. So, for example, if I'm angry, if I've had a long history of having this anger over something in my life that I never released, that I never acknowledged or processed, most likely that's going to be influencing either my pain or what my reality looks like. Because anger, even if we're not fully aware of it, tends to attract more to be angry about. Anger is painful. Anger is inflamed. Anger tends to manifest physically if we don't deal with it emotionally. So that's what I have learned, is when people are getting really stuck, to look at what's going on emotionally and what's the unprocessed stuff in the way. And I'm sure Richard probably has a comment on this.
Yeah, I developed a system over 30 years I call self-created health. And it teaches people how to find and release the emotional causes. And we can find emotional causes, not like a paint by number system that knees mean this and elbows mean that, but by asking simple interrogative questions and writing down all their unique answers to the questions, it paints a three-dimensional picture of emotions they didn't want to feel that are being expressed through the condition. I had one friend, and she had such bad sciatic pain that she said she couldn't go to sleep at night. She'd cry herself to sleep. Mm-hmm. And so I used quantum touch on her for about 8 minutes, and I got no result at all, which is unusual, but it does happen sometimes because the energy is not always the answer to the question. So I said, let's find an emotional issue. Well, it took 5 minutes, and we found exactly what the sciatica was about. I gave her some homework to process the old hurt and anger being expressed through the condition. She did, and she's been sleeping like a baby ever since, because the body has the ability to be sick, not as a dysfunction, but as a communication from our own higher consciousness. We are spiritual beings living in these forms with these meat suits that we're wearing, but we think this is the full reality, but it's only a little tiny piece of the reality. And energy healing will work the vast majority of time to bring down symptoms, but it is not always the answer to the question. And the answer to the question always involves our spiritual growth in the long run. And since the majority of the scientists don't believe that such a thing even exists, they don't look for obvious things like a system to find and release emotional cause, since their assumption is there is no such thing as emotional cause.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, that I would like to ask both of you to speak about is, and for those of you out there, if you go to the website, quantumtouch.com, one of the things that you'll also find, beyond looking at the classes and things that you can participate in, you're also going to find a series of practitioners. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I live in New Jersey, go over to the practitioners and you will see practitioners in New Jersey, if that's what you want to look for. But the thing I also want to talk about with you both is this idea of quantum healing, quantum touch, and supercharging your life. I love that phrase. I never thought in a million years in my life that I would even possibly think about that as a goal. And yet we're talking about, quantum healing to, at least for a lot of people, it opens up the door for them to step into that energy, because supercharging your life is an energy all its own. Jennifer, you want to talk a little bit about what supercharging your life means to you and how do we get there?
Okay, so to me, the idea that the universe is made up of energy, it's a realm of possibilities. nothing, it's not physical in the way that we perceive physicality. It's a realm of energy, right? That's the premise that quantum touch is based on. That's also the premise of how we can run our life. And what I mean by that is if we look at the universe as a realm of possibilities, then nothing is impossible. Anything's possible, including everything that you want. And so then the question becomes, what's in the way? And I like to really look at my life that way, because really, if anything's possible, then I can create anything that I want of my dreams. I can create the life of my dreams, right? So that to me is about supercharging your life. Energy is a shortcut through the universe. If we can rearrange the pattern of our reality using energy, we can change the external reality. And that to me is what it means to supercharge your life, using energy to create your reality.
Richard, how about you?
Well, everything is about our growth and transformation. And growth and transformation can happen in many regards, but the accelerator pedal is emotional honesty. And from honesty, you can build internally based self-esteem based on the honesty, integrity, self-responsibility, and trust that form the foundation of our spiritual growth. One of the aspects of the growth is choosing health, choosing well-being, choosing to exemplify your ideals and principles. And part of that is choosing to do things that are better for you and not bad for you. So nutrition, emotional expression, exercise, lifestyle, all these kind of things are aspects of self-love. So how do we supercharge our love? By exemplifying our principles and our ideals on a day-to-day basis and making tiny changes every day that would be a little bit better than the day before. If you just change 2% a week, you're 100% different at the end of the year. And so it just requires a consistency and a determination to keep making small but wonderful changes that you think would be better. And you're always welcome to change your mind and do something that you think is even better than the new choice you made. But that's how we go from point A to point B.
Yeah, I want to talk about for a minute how energy healing can change relationships, finances, because we don't talk about this, I think, enough. Clearly we've been talking about health a bit here, but it's not the only thing that can change. We're talking about the full meal deal here about things, and yet sometimes people don't really think, well, I'm going to do this over here because my back hurts. But if your back hurts and your bank account hurts, then, come on, let's make some changes. Right, Richard? I mean, this is really, I think, where the narrative really has to expand.
Yeah, because healing the wallet may be exactly why the back is, why you're emotionally not feeling supported and the back is not giving you the support that you want. That's kind of a paint by numbers answer, but it might be emotional support, might be financial support, but it probably is a support issue. So it's important to deal with all levels and not just say, this is the only answer that matters, but all the answers matter. It's good to have all the cylinders firing and not just your favorite one that meets some philosophical preference.
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer, this too, I wanted to ask you about, because, you just talked about, and we started the show with you wanting to run this business. And, there are probably countless people listening that if we ask them, fill in the blank, I want to ... would settle for something that they could see in front of them that might be easy. But many people looking at this would say to you, wow, Jennifer, whoa, that's like a lofty goal. But obviously you got there. How does quantum touch help people get there? And I don't mean just like get to be a superstar baseball player, but even get to the question of really thinking as big as you did.
That's a great question. So, if we think of ourselves as emotional energy, if we connect with our emotions, if we believe that emotional energy is actually real, and I think that's where people get stuck, because we're taught in school, and I certainly was, that what's real is logic, mathematics.
Yeah.
You have to go from point A to B in a pedantic, logical manner. And if it doesn't make any logical sense, you should just throw that idea away and just go back to the grindstone and focus on what makes, rational, logical sense. And this is where I got tripped up a lot, because a lot of my dreams and goals make no rational, emotional, logical sense. And they're considered lofty. I think the word lofty means that goal isn't grounded in reality.
Right.
Let's get real. Let's get practical. Forget your lofty dream and let's just. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, because the job is real. The job is practical. Having a job that makes us X amount of dollars per month makes a lot of sense. But having a dream that may seem really outlandish, like 15 years ago, energy medicine was really outlandish. It's still outlandish today, but it was really outlandish back then. And the idea that this computer software geek could make a living in the field of energy medicine seemed way outlandish. My parents thought it was crazy. So I just feel that putting that logic aside, even if we can for just maybe an hour or a day, and saying if the universe were non-logical, if I didn't need a plan from point A to B, what would I want? And another way to ask this question is, if I had $100 million in the bank, what would I do? Because that gets you out of that logical progression of what you kind of think is possible into the realm of all possibilities. And then you can answer those questions that are real and meaningful to you. Like, if I had all this money, what would I do? And so I believe the key is to really recognize that the universe, because it's energy, doesn't have to be rational, logical, pedantic, mathematical, all those things that we've been taught, that it can be magical. You can take shortcuts through the universe, like a tesseract from The Wrinkle in Time. You can go from point A to point G without having to go through the logical progression. And then that opens up your world to magic. And I still get caught in the world of logic.
Yeah.
I like things to make sense. I mean, but really, if I think about it, nothing on some fundamental level makes a lot of sense anyways. So it's really letting that go and letting go of control, which is really hard, and surrendering to perhaps there is a flow to what you want that may seem illogical but magical.
Yeah. Once upon a time, we didn't really know that there were planets up there in the universe. Then we identified planets. And then all of a sudden, we named a planet called Pluto. And then all of a sudden, we decided Pluto wasn't a planet. I mean, these are commonplace conversations that we have in a world that, when you go back to my grandparents, even in their reality, doing things that we kind of do today. The fact that my car doesn't need a key to start, really, to this day, puts some of the folks that get into my car in, like, I don't understand. Where's your keys? What do you mean you don't have to put the key in the car? But it's also, too, there's an energy of things and paces that we're keeping. Do you think that, wow, I know we have 3 minutes left. Do you think the pace of life is helping us understand energy more? No, Jennifer's like shaking her head, everybody. No.
I think to understand energy, you have to slow it down.
There you go.
And be still and be present. And if you're moving at 300 miles per hour, there's no room to slow it down so you can feel energy and tap into your heart. That seems to move more slowly when you meditate and calm the mind down and be still. That's when I think you can most feel energy and connect to the heart.
Wow. Well, thank you both for today. This last question, I want to make sure each of you answer this. I'd like to hear from you, starting with you, Richard, what's your personal message And what's the future of energy healing from your perspective today?
Well, the future of energy healing can be best summarized by my long-term idealistic goal, which is that by the year 2040, that energy healing would be studied at every university, utilized in every hospital, and taught in every elementary school. It is a fundamental human ability that's been overlooked because of arrogance and condescension, and it's the most basic human skill that exists, and it's fundamental to raising levels of compassion, that is the awareness of suffering and the desire to alleviate suffering. And that's the only solution that I think is going to heal the world, is a higher level of universal compassion.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us here today. Jennifer, how about you?
So, what is it that will heal the world? Well, I believe that it's people, like Richard said, tapping into your compassion. I also believe it's this idea of letting go of this concept that we have to be right, and letting things and opening up the mind to perhaps that everything we always believed or everything we always thought was right may not be right, because I think that's where we start clashing as a nation, as a world, where people want to be right. Everyone wants to be right. But the problem is that I don't think there is really a belief that is right, because it's all perspective. So if we're willing to kind of let go of our, dog-like attachment to being right and concentrating on how do we work together, I think that will really go a long way to stop war and help.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you both for today. And the question that or the statement I made to the one doctor that actually does want to talk to me, and I said to him, what would be so right about you not asking me why and asking me how, so we can share it with other people? And what I love about you both is that you're out there, we're talking about it, and we have to keep talking about it and demonstrating it. Thanks to both of you. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
I just want to tell everybody, if you go to the website, right? If you go to Quantum Touch, the website, quantumtouch.com, what you're going to find is not just information about classes. There are practitioners. There's a professional program. There are events and schedules, so you can actually go see a demonstration. Miranda, if you take a look, there's something going on down here in California for you. So there's lots of information for you to take a look, explore it. Jennifer, you gave a phone number, right? Right? And so the only thing left to do is do. Thank you both. We're going to take a short break, everybody. Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Jennifer.
Dr.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I could go on for another hour with both of them. But Jennifer will be back next month, and we're going to talk more. Hi, everybody. Listen, Transformation Talk Radio, another hour coming up. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.